You have been doing everything right. You have been patient. You have been kind. You have been available. And yet he pulls away every single time you get close. That is not bad luck. That is a pattern. And today we are going to break it permanently. Here is what nobody tells you about avoidant men. They do not chase women who are always there. They chase women who make them feel something they cannot quite explain. And in about 3 minutes, you are going to understand exactly what that feeling is and exactly how to trigger it with just 4 words. Stay with me because this is the part most women never figure out. And the ones who do figure it out, they are the ones who suddenly find that same man who used to disappear, blowing up their phone, showing up unannounced, acting completely different than he ever did before. Before we go any further, I need you to drop 1 word in the comments right now. Just type the word ready if you want to know what these 4 words are. And if you have been dealing with an avoidant man and you are tired of feeling confused, subscribe right now because what we cover here is going to change how you handle every relationship going forward. Now let us get into this. First, you need to understand something about the avoidant personality that most people get completely wrong. Most people think avoidant men are cold. Most people think they do not care. Most people think if you just love them harder or wait longer or give them more space, eventually they will come around. That is the trap. That thinking right there is exactly what keeps women stuck for months, sometimes years, waiting on a man who keeps showing up just enough to keep her holding on but never fully commits. The truth about avoidant men is this: they are not cold. They are actually deeply emotional. They feel things very intensely. But somewhere along the line, they learned that getting close to someone means getting hurt. So they built a wall, and they built it so well that even they do not fully realize it is there. And what happens when you try to get close to them? The wall goes up automatically. Not because he does not like you, not because you are not attractive or interesting or valuable, but because closeness itself triggers a fear response in him that he has carried probably since childhood. So what do most women do when they notice a man pulling away? They lean in harder, they text more, they try to have the conversation, they ask where things are going, they want to talk about feelings, and every single one of those moves, as logical as they seem, pushes an avoidant man further away, because to him each of those moves feels like pressure. And pressure is exactly what activates his need to escape. Now here is where it gets interesting, and this is the part I really need you to hear carefully. The avoidant man does not stay avoidant with every woman. You have probably seen this yourself. Maybe you have seen a man you dated, a man who was distant and non-committal with you, suddenly turn around and be completely present and devoted with someone else. And you thought to yourself, what does she have that I do not have? What is she doing differently? She is not smarter than you. She is not more beautiful than you. She is not luckier than you. She just understands, either instinctively or because she learned it, one very specific principle about how avoidant men work. And that principle is this: an avoidant man does not chase what is always available. He chases what he is not sure he can have. Now, before you think this is about playing games, stop. This is not about games. Games are manipulative, and they come from a place of insecurity. What we are talking about is something completely different. We are talking about genuine confidence. We are talking about a woman who has a full life, real standards, and a sense of herself that does not collapse when a man pulls away. That energy is magnetic, and it is the exact opposite of what an avoidant man usually encounters. Most women who fall for avoidant men are what we call anxiously attached. And that is not a character flaw, it is just a pattern. When someone pulls away, the anxiously attached person chases. When someone goes quiet, the anxiously attached person fills the silence. When someone seems uncertain, the anxiously attached person tries harder to prove their worth. And that whole dynamic feeds directly into the avoidant's need to keep distance. But here is what happens when a woman breaks that pattern, when she stops chasing, when she pulls back not out of spite, but out of genuine self-respect. when she creates real space without waiting by the phone for him to notice. The dynamic flips completely. The avoidant, who is used to being the one who pulls back, suddenly finds himself in unfamiliar territory. Suddenly he is the one wondering. Suddenly he is the one reaching out. Suddenly he is the one who cannot stop thinking about her. That shift in dynamic is what you are going for. And those 4 words are the tool that can create that shift in a single text. Now let me set this up for you because context matters. These words work best in a very specific situation. The situation where he has gone quiet. He has pulled back. He has not texted in a few days or maybe longer. You have been sitting with that uncomfortable silence, maybe checking your phone more than you want to admit, maybe fighting the urge to reach out. And you want to say something. You need to say something, but you do not know what. Most women in this moment send one of 3 types of texts. The first type is the checking in text, something like, "Hey, just wanted to see how you are doing," which reads as desperate even when it is not meant that way. The second type is the confrontational text, something like, "I feel like you have been distant lately. Can we talk?" which immediately puts him on defense. The third type is the nothing text, where she says something totally random and meaningless just to have an excuse to reach out. None of these work. None of them create attraction. None of them make him think about her differently. But those 4 words do something completely different. They do not chase, they do not confront, they do not fill the silence out of anxiety. Instead, they communicate something that most women forget to communicate when they are in that anxious state. They communicate that she has a life, that she is moving forward, that she is not sitting still waiting for him to decide if he wants to be in it. Are you ready? The 4 words are this: I had a realization. That is it. 4 words, simple, short, completely open-ended, and dangerously effective. Now let me explain exactly why this works, because I do not want you to just use it without understanding the psychology behind it. Because understanding it means you can use it correctly, and using it correctly is everything. When he reads, "I had a realization," his brain does something automatic. It fills in the blank. And that is the key. You are not telling him what you realized. You are just telling him that something shifted for you. And his mind, because it is wired to seek resolution and completion, immediately starts asking the question, what did she realize? Is it about us? Is it about him? Did she realize she is done waiting? Did she realize something about herself? Did something happen? He does not know, and that not knowing creates a pull, a genuine pull, not because you tricked him, but because you created an open loop in his mind. And the human brain is physically uncomfortable with open loops. It wants to close them, it wants answers. And the only way he can get that answer is to respond to you. But here is the deeper layer, and this is the part that makes it truly powerful. The reason I had a realization works on an avoidance specifically is because it subtly signals a shift in you. Not a desperate shift, not a please come back shift, but a calm, quiet, internal shift. And avoidant men are extremely sensitive to shifts in the women they are connected to, because on some level, they are always monitoring. They are always watching to see if you are still there, still waiting, still available. And when they sense that something has changed in you, not that you are angry, not that you are pulling a power move, but that you have genuinely moved to a different place inside yourself, that is when the wall starts to crack. Because remember what drives avoidant behavior. It is the assumption that you will always be there, that no matter how many times he disappears, you will be waiting when he gets back. And that assumption, even though it sounds harsh, is actually what kills his attraction. Not because men want women who do not care about them, but because when there is no risk of losing someone, there is no urgency to hold on to them. So when he reads those 4 words and senses that something has actually shifted in you, the fear that he has been comfortable ignoring suddenly becomes very real. The fear that he might actually lose you. And that fear, for an avoidant man, is often the only thing powerful enough to override his tendency to retreat. Now, some of you are going to send those 4 words, and he is going to respond immediately. He is going to say, "What do you mean?" Or "What kind of realization?" Or he might even call. And when that happens, you need to be ready, because the way you follow up is just as important as the opener. You do not want to immediately launch into a heavy conversation. You do not want to say, "I realize that I deserve more than how you have been treating me," because even if that is true, that framing puts him back on the defensive. Instead, keep it light, keep it warm, keep it slightly mysterious. You might say something like, "It is actually a good thing. I have just been doing a lot of thinking lately," and leave it at that. Let him ask more. Let him come to you. Because every time he reaches toward you, every time he sends the next message or asks the next question, he is reinforcing his own interest in you. He is convincing himself that he wants to know more. That is not manipulation. That is human psychology. People value what they work for. Now let us talk about what you do in the meantime, because this is where most women lose the game even when they have a perfect opening move. Between the moment you send those words and the moment he responds, and possibly even after he responds, you need to actually be living, not performing, not pretending to be busy, actually being busy, actually investing in yourself, your friendships, your goals, the things that make you interesting and full and worth coming back to. This is important because an avoidant can sense the difference between a woman who is genuinely thriving and a woman who is performing thriving while secretly waiting. And the performance does not attract him. The real thing does. So if you are going to use these 4 words effectively, they need to come from an actual place of movement in your life, not from strategy alone. Now let us zoom out for a second, because I want to give you the bigger picture of what is really happening when you deal with an avoidant man. Because understanding this will not just help you with him, it will change how you navigate every relationship you ever have. The reason so many women end up with avoidant men is not random. There is usually a pattern of their own that draws them there. Anxious attachment, as we talked about, is one of the most common, and the anxious-avoidant pairing is the most common relationship dynamic in the modern world, and it is one of the most painful, because it is essentially 2 people with opposing attachment wounds dancing around each other in a way that triggers both of their deepest fears. She fears abandonment. He fears engulfment. So she chases to ease her fear of abandonment, which triggers his fear of engulfment, which causes him to pull away, which triggers her fear of abandonment, which causes her to chase harder, and on it goes. Breaking that cycle requires one person to step out of their role in the dance, and 9 times out of 10, the one who has to do it is the woman. Not because that is fair, but because the avoidant is usually not the one who sees the pattern. He is not the one in enough pain to change it. He is the one who is comfortable with distance, so the discomfort falls on her. And the growth has to come from her first. And when it does, something remarkable happens. When she genuinely stops playing her role in the anxious side of that dance, one of 2 things occurs. Either he steps up because her change in energy creates a new dynamic that allows him to feel safe enough to come closer, or she starts attracting completely different men because she has changed the frequency she is operating on. Either outcome is a win. Either outcome is better than the loop she was stuck in. But let us be honest, most of you watching this are not here for outcome number 2 right now. Most of you are here because there is a specific person, a specific man, and you want to know if there is still a chance. And the answer is yes, there usually is, as long as you have not done irreparable damage to the dynamic, and as long as he is not actually avoidant toward you specifically because of a compatibility issue. So let me give you a few more layers of this, because I want to make sure you walk away from this with a complete picture, not just a text message trick. Layer 1. Your vibe before the text matters more than the text itself. If you send "I had a realization" while still feeling desperate, anxious, and clingy on the inside, he will feel that. It will come through in subtle ways. Maybe in how fast you respond after he replies. Maybe in the energy of the conversation that follows. So before you send anything, do some internal work. Remind yourself of your value. Remind yourself that you are not waiting on anyone. Remind yourself that you are a whole person with or without his response. Layer 2. Silence is not your enemy. One of the hardest things for an anxious person to do is to sit in silence. But silence is actually one of the most powerful tools you have. When you go quiet, when you are not filling every gap with texts and calls and check-ins, you create space. And space, counterintuitively, pulls people toward you rather than away, especially avoidants, who are used to being the ones who create distance. When you create it instead, it disrupts the pattern entirely. Layer 3. Do not be available every time he reaches out immediately. Now, this one feels uncomfortable because it can feel like you are playing games. But here is the distinction. Playing games is pretending to be unavailable while sitting there refreshing your notifications. Being genuinely unavailable means you are actually living your life and you respond when it is natural for you to respond. There is a huge difference in energy, and he will feel it. A woman who responds in 17 seconds every single time signals that she has been waiting. A woman who responds when she gets around to it signals that she has been living. Layer 4. Never punish him for pulling away. This is counterintuitive but critical. When an avoidant pulls away and then comes back, the worst thing you can do is meet him with coldness or passive aggression to punish him for the distance he created. Because that confirms his fear. That fear that getting close leads to conflict and emotional pain. Instead, be warm when he comes back. Be genuinely glad to hear from him. But do not act as if the time he was gone never happened. You can be warm and still have standards. You can be welcoming and still be honest. The key is to come from a grounded place, not a wounded one. Layer 5. Know when to walk. And this is maybe the most important layer of all, because not every avoidant is the right partner for you. Some avoidant men are deeply committed to their patterns and will not change no matter what you do. Some are actively working on themselves and just need a different dynamic to step into something real. And you need to be honest enough with yourself to know the difference. A man who consistently disappears, who gives you just enough to keep you hooked but never actually moves things forward, who makes you feel anxious more than he makes you feel safe, that man may not be the right investment, no matter how strong your feelings are. Using these tools, these strategies, this understanding of his psychology should be in service of building something real, not in service of winning a game or convincing someone who fundamentally does not want to be convinced. And knowing the difference requires you to be honest with yourself about what you are actually seeing, not just what you are hoping to see. So here is your action plan. Step 1. If you have been over-texting or over-pursuing, stop right now. Go quiet for a few days, not to punish him, not as a strategy, but to genuinely recenter yourself and break the pattern you have been in. Step 2. During that quiet time, invest in yourself. Do something that fills you up, something that makes you feel like the most interesting version of yourself, because that energy is what you want to be carrying when you reach back out. Step 3. When the time feels right, and you will know when it does, send those 4 words. Keep them exactly as they are. Simple, calm, slightly mysterious. Step 4. When he responds, follow up with warmth and lightness. Do not go heavy immediately. Let him come to you with his curiosity. Let him lead the next few exchanges. Step 5. Observe. Watch what he does. Watch if he shows up differently. Watch if the dynamic shifts. And use what you see to make an informed decision about whether this person is capable of giving you what you actually need. Because at the end of all of this, the real goal is not to make an avoidant man chase you for the sake of being chased. The real goal is to build something genuine, something where both people are choosing each other freely, something where you are not constantly managing his fear while suppressing your own needs. The 4 words give you a door, but you still get to decide if you walk through it, and so does he. Now, I want to speak directly to the women who have been dealing with this for a long time, the ones who have been in the cycle for months or years, the ones who have read all the articles, tried all the advice, done everything they could think of, and still find themselves here. I want to say something to you, and I need you to really hear it. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not the problem. What you are is someone who has been using the wrong tools for the situation, and that is fixable. The fact that you are still here, still trying to understand, still willing to grow and learn and do things differently, that is not weakness. That is one of the strongest things a person can do. But I also want to say this, your energy, your love, your willingness to show up and try and understand, that deserves to land somewhere that receives it, somewhere that meets it, somewhere that does not require you to constantly shrink or chase or decode someone's silence. So yes, use what you have learned today, give it a real shot, but also give yourself a timeline. Give yourself a clear-eyed look at whether this particular person is actually capable of meeting you where you want to be met. Because the most powerful thing you can do, even more powerful than any text or strategy or tactic, is to truly believe that you deserve someone who does not make love feel like a puzzle you have to solve every single day. That belief, more than anything else, is what changes everything. Because when you genuinely believe that, it shows in how you carry yourself. It shows in what you tolerate and what you do not. It shows in the energy you walk into every interaction with. And that energy, that quiet, unshakable sense of your own worth, is the most magnetic thing a woman can possess. It is what makes secure men fall deeply, and it is what makes avoidant men break their own patterns to try to keep up with you. So take those 4 words, use them wisely, but more importantly, do the deeper work. Know your worth without needing him to confirm it. Build the life that makes you genuinely excited to wake up every morning. Be the woman you would be proud of, even if he never texted back. Because that woman, the one who is full and grounded and moving forward regardless, that is the woman he will not be able to stop thinking about. That is the woman who changes the game. Not because she learned a trick, but because she finally stopped needing to win it. And now you have the tools. What you do with them is up to you.